The United States recently downgraded its travel advisory for China from Do Not Travel to Reconsider Travel, coinciding with the release of 3 detained U.S. citizens. This move may be a strategic response by the Biden administration to former President Trump's strong rhetoric on China, particularly his public call for the release of Jimmy Lai. It reflects the nuanced U.S. China dynamics in trade, geopolitics, and Taiwan. Will this signal a potential thaw in U.S. China relations? Welcome to Black Bloc Hong Kongers, your go-to channel for in-depth discussions on international politics and global crises. Stay tuned as we uncover the truths behind the headlines. Like, share, and subscribe to join our community of critical thinkers. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal on November 30, 2024, the United States has recently downgraded its travel advisory for China, moving it from Do Not Travel Level 4 to Reconsider Travel Level 3. This decision coincided with the release of 3 U.S. citizens previously detained in China, raising questions about whether this marks a thaw in U.S.-China relations. While seemingly a technical diplomatic adjustment, this move occurs against the backdrop of strained U.S.-China ties and the complex global geopolitical landscape. It also appears to serve as a strategic response by the Biden administration to former President Donald Trump's earlier pledge to demand the release of Hong Kong media tycoon Jimmy Lai should he regain the presidency. Trump's statement, which underscored a tough stance against China, elevated the Jimmy Lai case as a moral and political symbol of U.S.-China relations. By framing himself as a champion of freedom and human rights, Trump created both a diplomatic challenge and a political test for the Biden administration. Trump's call effectively set a benchmark against which Biden's every action on China might be measured, potentially exposing Biden to criticisms of weakness. In response, the Biden administration's decision to secure the release of 3 citizens and adjust the travel advisory demonstrates its capacity to act decisively on China, countering the political pressure imposed by Trump's rhetoric. The release of the 3 U.S. citizens was unlikely a coincidence, but rather a calculated outcome of behind-the-scenes negotiations. This reflects Beijing's strategic considerations regarding the Biden administration for China. Releasing detainees at this moment showcased its willingness to engage in limited cooperation, possibly to ease bilateral tensions and secure more diplomatic maneuverability on the global stage. Beijing likely recognized the domestic pressure Biden faced from Trump's strong rhetoric and saw an opportunity to exchange symbolic concessions for more favorable treatment in areas such as trade policies, technology export controls, or the Taiwan issue. Adjusting the travel advisory carries strong symbolic significance. While it signals a positive response to the detainees' release, it also reflects Biden's attempt to balance a tough stance on China with pragmatic cooperation. By doing so, the Biden administration aims to reassure domestic voters that its foreign policy protects American interests without provoking unnecessary conflict, projecting a stable and rational leadership image. However, this move is not without risks. Will it be perceived as a concession by the US to China? Could Beijing interpret this as a softening stance on key issues such as trade, human rights, or the situation in Hong Kong? Specifically regarding Jimmy Lai, will Biden's actions be questioned for lacking sufficient resolve? Trump's hardline approach continues to frame the narrative, forcing Biden to weigh the optics of every diplomatic decision carefully. On the global stage, this action could have ripple effects. First, will US allies such as Japan, South Korea, and European nations view this as a shift in America's China policy, prompting them to recalibrate their strategies? Second, in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war, could the US use this diplomatic breakthrough to influence China's position, potentially reducing its support for Russia? Finally, could US-China interactions shift the military and economic balance in the Asia-Pacific, particularly amidst rising tensions over Taiwan? From an economic and cultural perspective, the downgraded travel advisory reopen opportunities for bilateral exchanges. Over the past years, heightened tensions have severely limited educational, business, and tourism interactions between the two nations. This adjustment could encourage more Americans to travel to China, reviving cooperation in these sectors and potentially fostering mutual understanding between the peoples of both countries. In conclusion, while the U.S. downgrading its travel advisory for China may seem like a straightforward policy adjustment, it embodies significant political and diplomatic calculations. This move reflects a strategic response by the Biden administration to Trump's challenge and highlights the intricate geopolitical dynamics at play between the U.S. and China. The long-term implications of this decision will depend on how both sides navigate broader issues in the coming months. Thank you for watching BlackBlock Hong Kong's Global Insight Network. Like, share, and subscribe for in-depth analyses on international politics and critical issues. Explore these videos next and join the conversation for a more insightful world.